I thought, what if I switched it? And what if I just made people feel well by addressing some of their imbalances and deficiencies so that we could then move on to some of these other things that might take a little more energy? And it was a no-brainer to fix hormones because when you fix someone's hormones, they get themselves back.
I'm Riley Rees. This is the Sofia Unfiltered podcast where we bring together thought leaders, wellness entrepreneurs, makers, and emerging health leaders. We're here to have raw, unfiltered conversations because sharing your stories has the power to change lives, help others heal, and transform the way we take care of ourselves. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to Sofia Health. I'm Riley Rees, and today we're joined by Dr. Tami Meraglia. She's a leading expert in women's health. You may have seen her recently on Good Morning America, NBC, or ABC News. She's world-renowned expert on women's hormones. She's practiced hormone and weight loss, functional medicine for over 20 years. Dr. Tami, thank you so much for joining us today.
What an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're just really thrilled. Can you walk our listeners who may not be familiar with your background through what you're doing right now in women's health and what you've kind of been doing over the last 20 years?
Sure. So, I actually went to med school as a second career. I danced in a ballet company professionally for many years first. So that was the beautiful thing about going to medical school as an adult is I did not swallow all the Kool-Aid. I didn't believe everything I was told. I would research, I would question. So I'm grateful I went to traditional Western medical school. But when I finished, I would see my patients and they would say, I'm not feeling myself. I don't have as much energy. I've got 20 or 30 pounds that I can't lose. I'm eating less, moving more, eating well, not drinking alcohol. I can't sleep. I don't laugh, on and on and on. And I would run the usual tests, thyroid anemia. And then they would come back and I would tell them they were fine. And I realized that fine is a 4-letter word. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, gosh, I want to be fine today. And then I realized that entirety of my training was focused on diseases and diagnoses. And if you didn't have one, you were by default fine. Had nothing to do with wellness, nothing to do with vitality, and truly nothing to do with prevention. Because even your preventative doctor's visits were trying to find diseases at early stages, not prevent them. So I went back and I studied and got my naturopathic training. And that was a beautiful combination because I can be considered the most cynical naturopath or the most open-minded MD. And somewhere in the middle, I love that I can bridge both of those sides because what's right is not what is always right for you. And it might not be right for you right now. And perimenopause and menopause is such a roller coaster of change. You really need to have somebody you trust who listens to you, who validates you, who believes you to help you during that time of your life. So I opened my own practice over 20 years ago. I wrote the book published by Simon & Schuster called The Hormone Secret. It became a bestseller. And that was almost 5 years ago, way before talking about menopause and hormones became mainstream. So I'm blessed. I've been doing this a really long time. We just hired a couple new physicians. And so for the very first time in many, many years, we're taking new patients in our nationwide telehealth practice.
Yeah, that's right. So you heard that. If you are interested in booking with Dr. Tami, we recommend doing that now because this is the first time in 7 years she's taking new clients. She is licensed in all 50 states. Well, there's three. So just get in touch and we've got an email for you. We'll drop in the show notes at the end, but you better get in with Dr. Tami quick. So Dr. Tami, you've been studying, so was it pretty clear you saw the disease and then you're like, this is not working for, wellness and preventative care. Were you just always interested in women's health?
Yes, I do have about 30% of my practice is men, but women are much better at seeking help when they don't feel well. Men have to be usually pretty sick. And I have a lot of celebrities and professional athletes, and when they get hurt, they come and things like that. But women are better at seeking their advice and support when they need it than men, traditionally speaking. And I've always been interested in the why. Like, okay, you're tired. Why? And not just give you a prescription for a sleeping pill. Let's figure out, well, is it your cortisol? Are you deficient in progesterone? Progesterone leaves women first in our 30s and it leaves us fastest. And if you wake up between 2 and 4 in the morning wide awake, like, why am I awake? I have no idea. Then it's likely a progesterone deficiency. So why would I give you a sleeping pill? Well, I would if I didn't investigate the why. But to be truthful, when I very first started, I was focused on the liver and on the gut. And I was like, this is where the real meaning of true longevity and prevention and diseases is. This is where it all starts. And so I really focused on that. But you know what? Everybody felt so bad. They didn't have the energy to do the work of completely changing their diet, completely, doing all these things. And then I rethought, I thought, what if I switched it? And what if I just made people feel well by addressing some of their imbalances and deficiencies so that we could then move on to some of these other things that might take a little more energy. And it was a no brainer to fix hormones because when you fix someone's hormones, they get themselves back.
Yeah, are they having brain fog? Is that one of their I mean, I hear that a
There are 67 symptoms: brain fog, skin rashes. There's a recent paper written and published by Dr. Vonda Wright. She's just an amazing orthopedic surgeon. And she wrote a paper called The Musculoskeletal Syndrome of Menopause, where women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s start having back pain and hip pain and shoulder pain and frozen shoulder and all these things. And their orthopedic surgeons and their doctors are doing x rays and MRIs and they can't find anything. It's your estrogen.
Wow.
Estrogen is so anti inflammatory that when it leaves, some of your, weak links start becoming more inflamed and talking to you louder. Itchy ears is another one. Like, there's all these symptoms. I think this sounds terrible, but I mean it with love. I hope women get hot flashes
Oh, because that's an e because we can link it, we can correlate it.
and they'll go get help and they'll go find somebody that specializes in hormones because it's a link.
It's a
Exactly.
li you would never comprehend. So we're gonna find these 67 are they on your website, Dr. Tammy? Because I need to get them listed. We need to get the women the information. I haven't hit this phase yet, but, I'm glad we're talking about it. Unless we talk about it, people aren't gonna know unless
No,
we haven't
and
done this for 20 years.
perimenopause can start in your 30s.
Wow, that's scary early, and we need to know, the symptoms and recognize it and then prepare for it. So, yeah, I mean, we also know, I mean, you must have seen the landscape change significantly over these 20 years. 67 symptoms. We know we need to get help, but what do we do?
I think that, it might sound like I'm only saying this because I am a physician who sees patients for hormone therapy, but I also believe that my opinion is based on 20 years of experience and seeing it over and over and over again. And I can tell you that a personalized, customized approach to health, especially hormones, is absolutely necessary. You need a provider who understands this more than you. If you're going to your provider and you understand more than this because of the TikTok and Instagram posts, then that's terrible. You're the CEO of your health. Your doctor works for you. If they are not serving you and if they're not your partner and listening to you, fire them.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm
First of all, I love that advice. That's why we built the platform. We won't get on that soapbox today, but that's right. Find somebody to take control of your health. I love that. Now, because you can start perimenopause in your 30s, do we need to find somebody in our 20s, in our early 30s? Is this like, hey, when you hit 30, it's time to get like a checkup to start seeing where we're at? Is that what we do?
Yes. So in your 30s, and even sometimes in your 40s, your hormone tests can be up and down. That's why we created a membership so people are getting tested, 3 or 4 times in a year, and so we're not going by any one test, we're going by trend and symptoms, and we're matching them together. I always sit down with a Zoom appointment and my patients say, "Okay, what does my blood work say?" And I said, "I don't know. I've looked at all your blood work yesterday, but I need to interpret it through how you're feeling." And so you need to make sure that you're testing. But even if there isn't a test in your 20s, I think you should always get somebody to look under the hood. And maybe that's just once a year or twice a year. In your 30s, if you're having symptoms, then go get checked. If you're in your later 30s, I encourage you to get checked. And if you're in your 40s, you need to get this checked because we know now through published, evidence-based, peer-reviewed, beautiful research that beyond a doubt that vast majority of women are good candidates for hormone replacement therapy and that the earlier you start it, the more benefit to your longevity, meaning a decrease in your risk of a heart attack and stroke, a decrease in your risk of dementia. And these are time sensitive. These are if you start within 10 years of your menopause, if you start within 5.
Got it. 10 years of menopause or perimenopause?
So the problem is that it's kind of like trying to figure out if you're pregnant, by the time you've missed your period, the egg has already been fertilized. But by the time you've had your 12 months of no period, that ship's gone. You are well into. So perimenopause is a much more advantageous time to be addressing this. Now, when you are in menopause, you still can, and there are still benefits, even if you're after 10 years. But we now know that the closer that we can optimize and balance your hormones when they start going down, the better. It's like, don't wait until, we're all women, don't wait until you have like 3 inches of grow out before you color your hair. Like, just do a little bit at a time. And don't wait until your car is completely out of gas and you're stalled on the end of the side of the road before you fill up.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I love the car analogy, like filling up. I love it so much. Now, you mentioned testing and getting out of the hood. What test would you recommend? And are there different ones in 20s, 30s, and 40s?
So, first of all, the types of tests is a whole category and then what specific tests. So the type of tests are, you can get blood tests, you can get blood spot tests, you can get urine tests, and you can get saliva tests. And all of those are beneficial. I have patients who'll come to me and say, "Hey, I heard about the Dutch test. Is that a great test? Should I do that?" And yes, it's a fantastic test. I just love data. And I'm like, "Ooh, look at all this information." But 99% of the time, you don't have to do that. It's expensive. Saliva is another great thing if somebody is in a rural area because the kits can be shipped to your home. And then there's also urine, and urine is fantastic because all of your hormones turn into other metabolites, which are active. We want to make sure, for example, your estrogen is getting methylated as it goes down the path so that it's protected from being cancerous. So that's a great idea to check later on once you're balanced. The tests to order are, you want to check your thyroid. So TSH, free T3 is if I had to pick one, that's the one I would pick because that's the amount of active thyroid in your body. And I don't typically test for antibodies or reverse T3 unless there's a problem. And that's because a lot of our patients are able to use their insurance to pay for their blood work. And insurance gets all Twitter pated if there's all these esoteric blood tests. And if they're paying cash at the discounted cash price, then why would I order more than I need to? It's just an extra cost for you. But here's another important test for thyroid: ferritin. What's ferritin? Ferritin is actually your stored iron in your liver. It's also a good indication of your inflammation. But the function of ferritin is to shuttle around your thyroid and deliver it to the cells so it can do work. So if you're taking thyroid medication and you still don't feel great, but your blood test is perfect or fine,
Right, we're fine.
and nobody's checking your ferritin, maybe it's not getting to where it needs to be. So that's one important organ system. Estrogen, always start with estradiol. And in men, we check estrogen as well, estradiol and estrone, because their testosterone can convert to estrogen. Speaking of testosterone, that's what my book is about. Testosterone for women. It is so important. We need a tiny little bit, but it has an outsized role in how we look, feel, and function. And you need to check your free testosterone. The total testosterone just means how many products are in the store. You want to know how many products are in your house because that's what you need to use. Progesterone is super important. DHEA sulfate, which is the one above, and it has been associated with, being able to figure out your adrenal function. Fasting insulin. People forget that insulin is a hormone. Fasting insulin will tell me about your insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, heart attack, and stroke risk years and years in advance. And vitamin D. People forget that vitamin D is also a hormone, and it's super important in so many functions in our bodies. So that's sort of the basic starting point to check.
Now, I'm going to ask a silly question. Are you ready for this? Hey, everybody listening, you guys can laugh. Is my provider checking for this?
I doubt it. I have
You said these are the basics. My provider should be checking for this. I mean, I know I specifically asked for my vitamin D. Sometimes my provider says, "Why do you want these numbers?" If I've ever, done a podcast and asked for something specific, but I shudder. I shudder at the fact that we're not, you call this the basics and you're taking care of your clients, and that's not what we're receiving care. It's not.
I have an odd response for you. And it's because I don't expect your insurance or your regular doctor to cover it because you don't have health insurance. You have sick insurance. Your doctor is not there and will not order and won't get paid and might even get criticized and written up and because you don't have a wellness insurance. You have insurance when and if you get sick, and thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. I mean, thank goodness they're there, right? We love our providers. We're not, but it's just it's time to take care of ourselves. And it's time that we have the information and place to go to get the care that we actually are actually seeking this whole time. So,
And unfortunately, that is the reality that you do have to invest your time, energy, and your money into creating vitality, wellness, and longevity because your regular doctor is not going to do that because they don't get paid to do that. They don't even get trained to do that.
which is why you went back to a whole different training on the naturopathic side, which I think is just beautiful. I mean, 2 med schools, that's a lot. But I think that was pretty cool that you did that all those years ago.
Well, and it's continuous, right? So, I think that, and then we are able to navigate the healthcare system. There's a sort of blending. And so, we test cardiovascular risk because in menopause, heart attack and stroke become the number one killer of women, period. All the cancers don't even come close. And women don't realize that. And so the two tests that I see being missed by traditional medical doctors for your risk of heart attack and stroke are lipoprotein B, is called ApoB, and lipoprotein little a. LP little a is the other name. And the LP little a is like a wasp. It has its own independent, significant risk factor for a heart attack and stroke, and it's genetic. And so you need to know what your propensity is because you need to know how much focus to put on that. Because I feel like a heart attack and stroke is a town. And just because you have bad cholesterol does not mean yet you've arrived at the town. So traditional medicine hasn't got it right. And then naturopathic medicine says it doesn't matter at all. That's not true. You are just not reading the research. But there's a whole bunch of things that have to happen in the meantime. So you have to go to the train station, you have to buy a ticket, you have to walk on, you have to sit down. Then the train has to go over bridges called inflammation, through tunnels called glycation, around many corners called oxidation, before it arrives to the town called heart attack and stroke. And if you have an elevated LP little a, your family drove you to the train station, they bought the ticket, they grabbed your hand, they walked you on the train station and sat you down. You need
Wow.
help.
Best analogy I've ever heard. I mean, it's incredible. And that makes sense. So the little a, the test, you said there's genetics, so you don't have to wait till you're in menopause to get this test. Do you have to, like, can anybody go get this now? Or is this like, okay, 40 women go get,
No, 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 do it now. It's genetic. But when you hit menopause, all of these things get worse.
right. Okay.
So,
Can we get, you just mentioned two for the cardiometabolic two test. So,
B
mhm,
and LP little a.
so we can go get those now, any age, get them tested.
And those are the ones your regular doctor should be ordering. They're heart attack and stroke. There's no reason. But they're never done. Well, I should not say never. I've never seen it done without a patient insisting.
Yeah, well, now we know, and we're going to be empowering women to get these tests, which is incredible. And I want to ask another question because we all know these, we talked about the symptoms, well, the 67, right? But we know the mood swings, hot flashes, and weight gain. If you get corrected on the hormones, do you still have significant symptoms? Is that still going to happen?
No, no, it's miracle. It's like a miracle. I wish I could be on a podcast like morning, noon, and night every day to shout from the top of the mountains. You don't have to suffer. Menopause should equal freedom.
I'm sure this is great news for everybody who's either in perimenopause or menopause. And this is incredible news.
Yeah, and it's not I mean, you do need to invest in usually paying for a physician that works outside the sick care system, but the hormone replacement therapy, I hear over and over, I can't afford it. Why? You do not need pellets. Pellets are a great option for some people. They're a terrible thing to start with because you don't know the dose and you don't need it. Compounding pharmacies are a great option, but you don't need it. Bioidentical estradiol, which is the estrogen, comes in a cream and a patch form in an FDA approved form in every regular pharmacy. And I think mine cost me about $25 a month.
Oh, wow.
And
Sounds
bio, yeah, and bioidentical progesterone is also available at your regular pharmacy. It is not expensive.
Why is there such confusion around hormone replacement therapy?
Well, I think it all started with the Women's Health Initiative study that just, when there's been studies on how the brain works, and there's, two important areas. The front of our brain is the executive function, the frontal lobe, and it makes decisions and it evaluates things. And, it's a great CEO. And it further back is the amygdala, which is the fear center, and they can't work at the same time. So when you are in fear, you don't think rationally about, oh, is this study actually true? Is this really appropriate for me? Should I investigate this and talk to a doctor? You just freak the heck out. And everybody was ripped off of hormone therapy and it was no longer being prescribed.
Right.
So we're healing from that.
And was it actually causing increased rates of cancers?
No, 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 no. I wish I could just have like a little tape.
Right, right. And you're just like, oh my gosh. Well, I mean, with that being said, are there any other myths or misconceptions about menopause hormones that you think need to be debunked? Like, well, if you want to shout out on the rooftop,
Yeah, yeah. There's that cancer is like a multi-level thing. So, oh, I can't have hormone replacement therapy because my grandmother, my sister, my aunt, my mother had breast cancer. Wrong. Now, you may not be a good candidate. You do need to get one on one advice and recommendations, but not because of that. Oh, I can't take hormone therapy because my family has a history of clotting diseases. Topical hormone replacement therapy has not been associated with an increased risk of clots. Oral estrogen, yes. So, any of you who are still taking the birth control pill when you're in menopause, please stop. It's not good for you. And you have many other options. The other thing is that testosterone is going to make you aggressive, it's going to make you bulk up, it's going to make you inch full. No, that if you're a good candidate for testosterone replacement therapy, you'll probably get 1 milligrams. It's not going to cause all these fear-based problems.
That is so good to know. And all of this sounds to me like women just need access to actually providers who know what they're doing and who deal with women's health, just like you. So, for all of you listening, again, she won't stay open long. I have a feeling. So, if you want to get signed up with Dr. Tami, you can do so now. Dr. Tami, thank you so much for being here and sharing all of this incredible wisdom. We do ask a question for all of our guests on the show. If you could share 3 fundamental pillars that contribute to your well being.
Absolutely. And these are things that you can do because without a doctor. Sleep. You need to prioritize your sleep. And if you're waking up in the middle of the night, go get your progesterone checked because sleep is paramount. Number 2 is stress. We cannot control stress. Anybody who tells you to reduce your stress, go just walk away. It's not possible. Your boss is your boss, your traffic is traffic, your project is due, your toddler needs whatever. It's not possible. But how long are you holding on to it? You need to feel your feels, respect them, thank them because they're valid, and then let them go out the door, out the door. And then the third thing is sauna. Sauna is probably the biggest tool that you can use at home to improve multiple areas of your health. And if you use a sauna, it's been studied as if it was a drug. It's really specific. A traditional sauna, not infrared, and infrared is because it doesn't get hot enough. So you have to work your way up, work with a physician or a provider. Don't just jump in a 170-degree sauna, but work your way up. So 170 degrees for 20 minutes, 4 times a week, decreases your risk of a heart attack or stroke by 60%.
Oh my goodness.
There's no drug on the planet.
Wow.
And your detox and your skin and it's
So if that's what you've been doing this whole time, no, but I mean, we're not sure if you can see Dr. Tami if you're watching the video, but Dr. Tami looks like she's like in her 30s.
oh, you're so sweet. I will
Just really sad right now.
60. I will be 60 in less than a year.
You're just making me sad. Is this a sauna? I'm just like, oh my goodness.
It's just on it's the hormones. It
Yeah, yeah. Asleep. Just you look incredible. Sorry for all of our listeners, but yes, Dr. Tammy looks absolutely beautiful and radiating. So she's like living proof that you can look good, feel good, sleep good. It's possible. Dr. Tammy, where can our listeners connect with you?
I'm often on Instagram, so I'm Ask Dr. Tammy TA, and I give lots of free information and share what I share with my patients there. And then if you'd like to consider being a patient, you can email us at info@biothrive.health. Info@biothrive.health.
And Dr. Tammy has also given everyone a discount code for an offer of an at-home hormone saliva kit with the word doctor review. It's normally $9.99, and she's given a discount of $4.99. So you just need to email the same email and with the word hormones in the subject line, put info@biothrive.health. Again, with the word hormones, and we'll put the instructions. But Dr. Tammy, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for this amazing discount code. So we can't wait to check out the website, your book, all the tools. This is such incredible free resources. We hope everybody starts following you to get actual advice on Instagram. We normally don't say just go follow people on Instagram, but in this case, yes, follow your ducks on Instagram.
Yeah, there's so much misinformation in there that I actually don't love, but there's just so much craziness out there that I just feel called, and I still see patients every day, so it's really easy. I'm like, "Oh, we talked about this. Maybe I should tell other people."
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's a good thing of social media, but it was great having you here. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Dr. Tammy. Thanks so much for listening. This has been Sophia Unfiltered, a podcast by Sofia Health, the #1 marketplace for health and wellness. Find services, classes, and products from the top health and wellness providers. Book an appointment or join live classes now. I'm your host, Riley Rees. If this episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear about it in the comments section of your favorite podcast provider or with a 5-star rating. Let us know what your biggest takeaway from this episode was, or share it with someone you hope to inspire. Join us again next time for more real conversations, stories, and insights that help empower you with the knowledge and inspiration needed to transform how we care for ourselves.